Good morning, everybody. Welcome. If you want to move your way in here, grab some coffee and some fresh fruit, and then we're going to get started this morning. Welcome to the Lyceum. Welcome to our second community conversation on nutrition and food security, sponsored in large part by Hartford, as well as several other sponsors that are listed in your pamphlet. My name is Ben Dudow. I'm here representing both Forge City Works, which runs the Lyceum, and the Grocery on Broad, which is a new grocery store here in the neighborhood that works on a sliding scale price model. And so it's kind of a cool thing you guys can check out. But I'm also the chair of the Hartford Advisory Commission on Food Policy, and we are one of the co-sponsors of this event. As the Policy Commission, one of the things that we do is we advocate around the whole food ecosystem for the city of Hartford. So we are an official commission of the city. We make recommendations around policy issues, but really around the whole ecosystem. And so food access and food insecurity is a major focus for us. But really we think about the entire food ecosystem. So it's really exciting to be part of these kinds of conversations. For those of you who are here at the first one that we did, you know that there's a dynamic conversation that we've started that's been ongoing. I think this wasn't the first of those conversations. This one certainly won't be the last. But we're excited to continue to engage with the community and really get to some solutions and some ideas that we can put some real hands and feet to and move forward on as community. And so we are so grateful to see you here this morning on a Saturday morning coming out to talk about what's a really critical issue for our city, for our neighborhoods, for our families. And we're grateful for you, and I want to encourage you to lean in and be a full participant today. I gotta switch mics because this one's coming in and out. How's that? I think this one's going to be better. And so I want to encourage you to really lean in this morning. Come with a sense of how you can participate and be active, not just today, but moving forward. For this is the work of the community that we do together. And that's really critical to understand. That this isn't just about upward delegation, this is about us taking ownership and responsibility together as a community to make a difference. And so I'm excited personally about this conversation and what's going to come forth today. To kind of kick us off this morning, we have two folks that are going to be sharing some remarks with us. And so Ebony Jackson-Shahid is here. She is the Hartford Director of the Department of Health and Human Services, was here with us on the first time as well. Thank you so much for carving out some time on a Saturday to be here with us. Ebony is, again, the Director of Health and Human Services for the City of Hartford. Prior to joining here, she completed a tenure as Director of Health and Social Services in the largest city in the state of Connecticut. She's a public health executive and neuroepidemiologist. I'm not saying that right, am I? So something really technical that involves a lot of degrees and study and good things, so well done. With more than 10 years of public health experience. And so she really is a gift to the city of Hartford. And I can tell you in the work that I have seen her do here at Hartford, more than all of the technical stuff, she's a real advocate for the people of Hartford. And really believes in Hartford. So we're really thankful to have you here and thankful for the work you do and thankful for your department and all the hard work that they do on a regular basis, often unseen and often, too often unappreciated. So thank you very much. Also this morning we have Marilyn Rossetti with us. She is the Assistant Majority Leader of the Hartford City Council and the Executive Director for the Open Hearth. Marilyn is a lifelong Hartford resident and currently serves as the Assistant Majority Leader for the Hartford City Council and is a member of the Council's Health and Human Services Committee. Marilyn began her involvement in the community development in Hartford when she began serving on the board of the Hartford Area Rally Together, known as HART, a community organizing project that advocated for and organized residents in the city's South End neighborhoods. Marilyn is now leads Open Hearth, an amazing organization here in Hartford, one that we partner with regularly, and just so you know, all the setup around here done by her team. And so we love to work with them. And we are again thankful, Marilyn, for coming out again on a Saturday to share with us and be with us. So again, as we kind of go through today, we'll have other folks will share with you kind of what the full model is. There's your program that you can watch. But we're going to first start with those opening remarks as a way to kind of set the table for us this morning. Just real quickly on logistics, there are restrooms over to the back left. They're also up the stairs here if you need additional ones. There are also down the stairs some additional ones on the second floor. And again, please help yourself to water, to coffee, to fruit, and make yourselves comfortable as we engage today. Once again, welcome, thank you, lean in. We appreciate you being here. This is an important conversation. We appreciate your time and your energy and your input. Appreciate you being here.
Good morning, everyone. I am not going to be standing in this spot. I'm actually going to be walking through the aisles. But I just wanted to say thank you so much for having me here today. I was here on the first particular conversation, and I opened it up with words and stats and all that good stuff. But I honestly just want to thank you all for coming in on a Saturday. And this is like a follow-up to the first conversation. So to see the room filling up is really a blessing. But this morning I'm going to do something a little bit different. So I'm going to prepare us for some of this heavy conversation that's coming up a little bit later, right? The city has an initiative called Headspace, right? And so that initiative is really to equip our community with tools to handle mental health. And so what I want everyone to do this morning is I want you to participate in a mindfulness activity so that we can prepare ourselves, we can ground ourselves, and receive the information that we're going to hear. And I do want to shout out my children and my husband. I dragged them along this morning because this is a first stop to many events today, but I want them to know that they have a part to play too when it comes to community advocacy, because no one can be too small to start. So you guys are going to be in here, right? Yeah, you got this? Oh, okay, a little bit later. Okay. So I would like everyone to find a comfortable position. I want you to adjust your posture to bring a little bit more comfort in. And I want you to set the spine upright and relaxed. At this time, you can close your eyes. Take a few nice deep breaths into the abdomen, filling up the belly and exhaling slowly. Take a deep breath in through the nostrils, out through your mouth. At this time, your eyes should feel a little heavy. Arrive fully in this moment. Let go of your thoughts or stories as we return back into the body. Feel into the soles of your feet, or whatever in your body makes contact with your seat. Notice any sensations, any vibration, pressure, tingling in your body. Feel a sense of support from the ground or seat beneath you. I want you to shift your attention to your legs and feel gravity pulling you down slightly. You may remember that you're supported and safe in this moment. Now bring awareness to your shoulders. Allow a sense of relaxation and softness through the body. Bring attention to the space between your eyes, the muscles of your face and jaw, just allowing them to relax. want you to listen into the space around the heart. Listen deep into the space of the heart and ask yourself, what am I needing most? See what arises. Perhaps it's a sense of calm or balance, or maybe it's growth or strength or self-trust. Perhaps it's a sense of connection. Maybe it's love. Whatever it is, allow that intention to grow in strength. Allow that intention to fill up the space of the heart like a golden light. Let it fill up the space of the chest. Allow that intention to find what you are most needing right now and fill up your body. Let your intention spill out beyond you. And in this next moment, offer yourself some compassion. Compassion for the challenges that you face and continue to face. Offer yourself a sense of ease, a sense of nurturing, and see whether you can begin to treat yourself like you would treat a child or a close friend who is going through a difficult moment. And in any difficult moment, ask yourself, can I simply be kind to myself right now? Even in this moment of uncertainty, pain, or discomfort, even in this moment of fear. Now, let go of that intention. Come back into the body, into the environment, feeling supported by your feet on the floor, on your legs, on the chair. Offer some gratitude to your body, sitting here breathing. And gratitude for the community that is sitting here together, just breathing, just being in a sense of connection. And when you are ready, gently open your eyes and bring some movement back into your shoulders, fingers, and hands, if that feels right. So sometimes when I do these, people get really emotional because there's a lot of emotions in what we're discussing and what we're dealing with as a people, as a community. And so give yourself some grace, connect with your community, and feel the support and love. I hope you enjoy the rest of the discussions that we're having today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for setting the tone for us this morning. Marilyn Rossetti. We can give her a hand clap as she comes forward. A little deal with that awkward silence. Thank you, Marilyn.
Oh, I don't know if I can talk after direction. That is so relaxed. You know, that is a wonderful app. I'm glad you reminded me of it. I had kind of forgotten about it. I used it for a while. Well, thank you for having me here today. You know, I thought of a lot of different things I could say. First of all, I appreciate so many people coming out on a Saturday morning. That's wonderful. I have been involved off and on with the Healthy Hartford Hub, I don't know, maybe even before it was formed, trying to work with the city of Hartford before I was elected, while I'm elected, to bring a major grocery store to the neighborhood in Hartford that needs it the most, which would be targeted North Hartford neighborhood. And we all know that's because we want access to healthy food. We want people to have a way to access it that doesn't involve, you know, many buses and a lot of transportation. But that brought me to, you know, Ben, you spoke about some of the different things I've done in my life, and it's funny, I'm in this building, HART, which was a community organization, HART, H-A-R-T, was once housed in this building. Downstairs in the first floor, I think like Susan and others may remember that. And a lot of work happened here with residents. Those are the folks who can make things happen. And when I look out here today, there's a nice showing of people on a Saturday morning. I keep saying that because I know everybody else could be doing something. But that's who get people to do things. That's when people listen. I know at times we may not feel that's so, but it's so. So HART was housed in this building, and a lot of actions happened here, and a lot of, do people know who Bob Kraft is? From that New England Patriots thing? When they were going to come to Hartford, which I knew was never going to happen, but there was a lot of testosterone flying around, he was actually in this building. He came for a meeting. HART actually found a way to have him come, but that's because that was the power of people and persuasion, and HART was a lot of neighborhoods. And I say that because you're the folks who can, I look down here at your partners in community conversations. That's so impressive. That's so impressive. And then I know you mentioned my other mat, the Open Hearth, which is a men's shelter in the city of Hartford, been around a long time. I'm very proud to work there. When I got there, I think like in 2012, and we serve hundreds of thousands of meals a day. We have about 130 guys on any given day, 3 meals a day. And I looked at what we were serving, and everybody loves fried foods. But I used to say, I think we have like fried palooza every day, and you know, this is not what we should be serving the clients of the Open Hearth. So certainly sometimes it's expense, but I think it's sometimes how you work to do it. And we really worked hard to bring healthier foods to the men of the Open Hearth, and I think that's been really important. And then I always use this story because I also sometimes think change is hard for people. People were used to the same thing. And one day I was eating lunch, and I was looking at the guy looking at the stuff in the salad bar, because we always have a salad bar every day. We have hot and cold food in the salad bar. And certainly we access some of it through food share, but you know, donations. And then our second biggest budget item is food, and that should be. So I was looking at the guy looking at the salad bar, and I went over and I said, hey, what's going on? He was looking at tabbouleh. And he was like, what is that? I was like, have you ever had it? And I told him what it was. No, I've never had that. I said, give it a try. Well, all right. So he put some on his plate and he left. So I watched him for a bit. He was eating different things, and then I saw him kind of looking around like, okay, I'm going to try this tabbouleh. And he did, and I remember him taking some more spoons. So when given the opportunity and the time, I think we know how important it is. So I will continue to work with certainly the group. I know we're closer than we've ever been to having it be a reality. It's not easy. A lot of it is complications of government, but a lot of it is funding, and a lot of it is getting everybody to agree at the same time, which I'm sure a lot of you can understand that. But certainly always use me as a resource. I'm happy to be here today. I need to leave by 11 because I'm going to go give some awards to some teachers. But I really appreciate everyone taking the time to come out. And again, such an impressive part with community conversations with partners. You owe yourselves a round of applause. Thank you.
My name is Denise Holter. I chair the Community Action Task Force of the Healthy Hartford Hub. It's, as has been said, wonderful to see you this morning, and thank you all for taking the time to join us for this important conversation. I am going to go through the agenda for today a little bit, but first I want to say something about our shared commitment to create a healthier and more equitable community. As we gather here today, as Marilyn said, we're standing at a crossroads in addressing one of the most fundamental aspects of our lives, which is food. Food is not just for our bodies, it is culture, it is connection, and it is the cornerstone of community well-being. Yet, for far too many of us, in our city, accessing nutritious, affordable, and culturally appropriate food remains a challenge. So let me set the stage with a few important truths. In our community, food insecurity disproportionately affects people of color, as well as families with limited income. Hartford has one full-service grocery store. North Hartford residents shop for groceries in nearby towns, draining funds that could be used to build our tax base. We often rely on convenience stores or fast food, which often lack healthy options. When nutritious food is available, affordability, transportation, and other barriers stand in the way. But there is good news. The good news is that we are not powerless. Communities are stepping up to reimagine food systems and advocate for policies that bring about meaningful change. And today, that's exactly what we're here to do. Today's conversation, as you know, is a collaborative effort with the Community Action Task Force, the Hartford Advisory Commission on Food Policy, and the Third Age Initiative of Leadership Greater Hartford. These co-hosts represent the breadth and depth of our city's commitment to food justice and innovation. The Hartford Advisory Commission on Food Policy has been a driving force in shaping the city's efforts to combat food insecurity and support equitable food systems. Their advocacy and initiatives have laid the groundwork for much of the progress we're seeing today. And the Third Age Initiative, powered by the incredible leadership of Leadership Greater Hartford, brings together change makers committed to advancing equity and opportunity across our community. Our work is also grounded in research and data, particularly the insightful citizen research conducted by Dr. Kristen Cooksey-Stowers. Her findings have illuminated the lived experience of residents and provided a clear roadmap for addressing food access challenges in a way that centers equity and inclusion. Additionally, as part of our larger efforts, we're advancing transformative projects like the Healthy Overlay District in the Arrowhead Gateway area. This initiative reimagines how health and food policy intersect with urban planning, ensuring that our physical environment supports the well-being of all Hartford residents. We also want to recognize the exceptional work being done by Forge City Works with the Grocery on Broad project. This initiative serves as a shining example of what can be achieved when our collective energies are combined. The Grocery on Broad is not just a store, it's a symbol of how collaboration, innovation, and commitment to community can transform access to healthy food. It stands as a model for what we aspire to achieve across Hartford, and we're grateful for their leadership and vision. As you know, this conversation is part of a broader effort through the Healthy Hartford Hub Community Action Task Force. And together we're focusing on solutions that prioritize equity, sustainability, and community-driven action. Whether it's supporting BIPOC food entrepreneurs, ensuring schools and institutions sourced locally and healthily, or developing policies that treat food as medicine, there is much we can achieve when we work together. But as Marilyn alluded to, policy change is not easy, but it is critical. It's critical to address the issues in a sustainable way. While individual programs and initiatives make a difference, they often address symptoms rather than the causes. Policy change, however, can transform systems, dismantle barriers, and institutionalize equity. So now we have a call to action. We know that many in this community feel that our voices are not fully heard by city officials when it comes to food justice and food insecurity. And it's time for that to change. This conversation and the actions that follow must amplify the lived experiences and insights of Hartford residents to shape policies that reflect our realities. The North Hartford and Arrowhead Gateway area offer numerous opportunities and resources that can serve as a foundation for recruiting a supermarket operator via the request for qualifications proposal. We must highlight these resources effectively to showcase the potential of the area. The CADF and its organizational partners are poised to lead these efforts, but we need the interest and capacity of partners across sectors to ensure success. Your support, whether through expertise, resources, or advocacy, will be critical as we work to launch and complete the request for qualifications review process. The CADF's 4 pillars, full-service grocery store, small business development, health promoting services, and owner-occupied housing serve as the foundation of our approach. Addressing food insecurity is the intersection of all 4 pillars that allows us to promote health equity in a holistic way. These pillars are not only interconnected, but essential for sustained community transformation. What we envision for the Arrowhead Gateway area is a model and a template that can be replicated throughout the rest of the city. Dr. Cooksey Stowers and the CADF have co-developed a health overlay district proposal that is currently under review by the city. This groundbreaking proposal would zone the Arrowhead Gateway for health, addressing vital issues such as stocking standards for corner stores, banning fast food restaurants near grocery stores, and offering incentives like tax subsidies for grocery stores. This initiative has the potential to serve as a pilot program, as I mentioned, and demonstrate how policy can drive systemic change. I'm editing. Finally, let me emphasize that change requires sustained, organized effort. Today's conversation is an important milestone, but it's just a beginning. The path forward will require collaboration, persistence, and consistent advocacy, but together we can make transformative change a reality in our city. Regardless of the priorities we identify through our conversations during today's discussions, I urge you to consider joining the CADF or jump into other work that's happening throughout the city. Whether as an individual, an organizational representative, or an advocate, your involvement will help ensure the success of our collective efforts to promote food justice and health equity across Hartford. Together, we can tackle these challenges and make meaningful, lasting change. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your passion. Let's dive into these topics, share our ideas, and work toward a brighter future for Hartford. Thank you. Oh, you speak so low. Next, I want to introduce someone who needs no introduction to me. Mary Holter is the Community and Advocacy Outreach Coordinator for the Community Action Task Force, and Mary is going to walk us through a recap of the findings from our last community conversation. Mary?
So much, Mommy. Good morning, everyone. Lovely to see you all. Thank you for coming. And bear with us while we get our slides up on the screen, and we'll begin. We do have a Spanish version available in print. So, yeah. We'll get started shortly. Oh, there it is. Can you see that? I can't see that. Over here. Okay. I'll put it here. I can click through it. Can I use this arrow here? Okay. So, like we mentioned, this will be a summary and overview of the notes compiled by our previous community conversation. Everything you see here was compiled by one of our partner organization's policy director, Meg Aragon. She unfortunately wasn't able to make it, but the notes were compiled by her. And I, your presenter, Mary Holter, with the CADF and Healthy Hartford Hub. So we will be going through solutions, outcomes, challenges. We'll continue by going through questions, and we will have time for additional comments and discussion at the end. So, solutions and outcomes. The top concerns involved increased access to fresh local foods and outlets in all neighborhoods. We wanted to include but not limit ourselves to have a full-service grocery store where none exists, and we are all mostly familiar that North Hartford is the area that doesn't have a grocery store in particular. Food policy is also important to us. We would like to minimize food apartheid and maximize food sovereignty. Food program opportunities for food collection, coordination between mainstream food aid programs and mutual aid efforts in all libraries, schools, hospitals, health clinics, daycare centers, housing services, and city offices. These are obviously just examples of a couple of things we would like to achieve. And connecting city food programs to local farmers. We would like to emphasize local produce and local resources being used. So some of the challenges we are currently facing include the unaffordability of most of the food, the low quality of most of the food as well. These contribute to poor nutrition and can worsen or create health problems in our youth and our elders. The food we have access to is usually shelf-stable, which ends up being low quality and malnutritious. So we also are facing limited trust and relationships between program clients and program staff, volunteers, product quality, lack of choice in prepackaged foods. These all contribute to participants reporting feelings of indignity, and we all know once you're facing indignity, you don't want to take those extra steps to maybe access what you need to, and then you end up suffering more than we all would like to. So unfortunately, we have more challenges that we identified. These include the uniqueness of the population who is experiencing food access problems. So unhoused people, older adults, immigrants, non-English speakers, youth, and WIC clients. There needs to be up-to-date program information, which there usually is not, and food programs in the city lack communication and coordination, so there aren't usually consistencies that we can rely on, so we would like to change that as well. We had some additional comments that weren't necessarily covered in what was previously mentioned. We have many food outlets like grocery stores, farmers markets, food distribution programs, urban agriculture, and these are all needed to ensure good food access in Hartford. We would like to come up with a schedule for distribution in our neighborhoods, and we would also like to figure out how can food organizations address issues that coincide with food insecurity, like housing, lack of health care, fair labor, because we all know that health equity is not just one fold, but like previously mentioned, there are multiple prongs, you may say, that contribute to health overall. So we also have goals for our Food Advisory Commission. There will likely be an increase in outreach, public meetings such as this, annual reports and community events. And follow-up for the CADF in particular is to recruit Harvard residents and support in data collection and advocacy so that we can take our suggestions to policymakers and have them implemented. These are some additional comments. We would like to emphasize culturally representative, trauma-informed, intergenerational food, nutrition, education. And I'll leave this here for you to take a gander at. So based on these notes, we came up with 9 specific categories. They're also around these walls on our big post-it notes here. You all have a chance to engage with them all and vote on what you see most important. So specifically, we would like to increase available growing space in Hartford, ensure all school students can access school gardens. So these top 2 were just mostly voted on during our previous community conversation. We tallied up which of us voted for what. Food access conditions, these were the top categories that we wanted to focus on. Grocery delivery and transportation, improve access to food through public transit, ensure food access for people with limited income, reduce mental labor of finding healthy, affordable food. Our next category is food aid programs. We would like to improve quality, nutrition, freshness of food served in food pantries, connecting food programs to clients and housing services, improve food program outreach and communications, and again, improve food quality. The next category we identified was food business and jobs, support food and farm careers to ensure food production is viable and people doing this important work are able to make a livable wage. City food retail outlets and city food programs should recruit, train, employ, and promote Hartford residents. We would also like to support diverse local food entrepreneurs for a thriving local food economy because we must rely on ourselves, must we? Okay, the next category we have is food education about nutrition, education about cooking food and food safety, about growing and addressing misconceptions about using our program benefits. The next category is food policy. We would like to ensure everyone can afford food, engage elected officials on food access, ensure SNAP, WIC, and other food programs are able to be combined and to create opportunities for residents to shape local, state, and federal food policy. We have food retail outlets, the North End grocery store being a major priority, more diverse food retail outlets in the city in general, mobile produce food markets, and improved quality. Local food access, more farmers markets in city neighborhoods. We would like to incentivize local fruit and vegetable purchases, improve farmers markets outreach and communications, and coordination. And the last category was sustainability. The top contributors to that were reduce food waste, support food recovery and food scrap composting, and make improvements / incentivize for eco-conscious living, which includes many areas like recycling and not producing so much waste in our city. So those were the 9 categories that we will be focusing on today. We want to thank you all for your continued participation, and you will be given further instructions in just a moment. Thank you all so much.
Hello. Okay. Hello, everyone. Thanks again for coming out. My name is Sagacity Walker, and I'll be walking us through our next piece for today. So right now, as she just mentioned, as Ms. Holter just mentioned, if you do have this, it was in your folder, take a gander at that really quickly, take a couple minutes and look at it, because what we really want to do is, well actually before I get there, by a show of hands, how many folks were here the first time we all had met? Oh, this is good, that's good. Okay, great, thank you. Because what I want you to do right now is look at that list that Ms. Holter just went over and see if everything is captured in that list. All of the things that you all had talked about. Is there anything that you think may be missing, or if there's anything that should be added? So right now, and I'll go through these questions again one by one. But just take a gander at that list. I think there's a Spanish version available for folks if you speak Spanish. Oh. So take a couple minutes and look at that. Just look up when you're ready. So it's the slides with the black background, and they're also across the room with the major themes, then the different action ideas beneath them. Oh, cool. Actually, she over here with the glasses. Yes, sir? Oh, you have a Spanish one? Do we have any more in English? Okay, cool. Thank you. All right, so has everybody gotten a chance to look at the list? Okay. Is there anything in there, do you feel that everything that was mentioned during the last conversation is actually represented on that list? It looks like it? It looks like we did a good job? Okay, thank you. My next question then is, if everything is captured in there, is there anything that maybe we missed, right? Something that didn't come up in the first conversation, and as you look at this list, you're like, you know what? I think this is something that should be added. Whether having to do with food policy, sustainability, anything of that nature, or what is food retail, what it could look like. Yes?
The underlying problem is poverty.
Mm.
You're looking at all these solutions to all these problems when there is just, like one underlying problem. And I don't know where that comes in, I don't know if I should brought it up.
I think it's important that you do bring it up though, right? Did we all hear what she said? Right, that there's an underlying issue going on here, whether it has to do with, oh, thank you for that. There's an underlying issue going on here, which is poverty. So a lot of the issues when it comes to, when we talk about difficulty of transportation to get to places that get healthy food, you have issues with transportation usually because you are either living in impoverished conditions or something of that nature, right? And the fact that the North End doesn't have a healthy supermarket because of the poverty of the North End, right? So that is very important. Thank you for bringing that up. I'll write that down. Anything else? And the further we continue with our time together, this is the time to start sharing your ideas and getting your thoughts out. So that's sir in the back. Oh, ma'am, I'm sorry.
I wasn't at the last one, but I think one key component of this, people could be getting SNAP or whatever, or your regular money, but you gotta know how to budget, because sometimes people don't know how to budget with the money that they have to buy stuff, because sometimes when I'm in the store and I'm watching what people are buying, I'm wondering that they don't compare, like, okay, if I buy a big jug, is it gonna be cheaper than I buy a small one? You know, like learning how to determine the sizing of different things and how you're spending your money to get the max and looking for sales and that type of stuff. So budgeting is a part of buying your food.
Okay, thank you for that. I think that would probably go under food education. Does that make sense? Yes, all right, great, thank you. So we talked about the underlying theme of poverty, and we're talking about budgeting, the importance of knowing how much food you're getting, how much you're paying for the food you're getting, looking at sales, things of that nature. Anything else we think? Yes, sir.
I personally think the great white whale of Connecticut, as Tom Condon used to say, is regionalization. We don't have county government. Anyone that has an issue comes to Hartford, which is good. I'm proud to live in Hartford because we offer that, but yeah.
Could you unpack that a little bit when you say the issue with is regionalization, and when anyone has an issue, they come to Hartford? Like, what is that? Specifically, is there anything that you're trying to do?
Anything from mental health to addiction to criminal justice to poverty, homelessness, mental, I think I said mental health, but I do think some of the surrounding towns are starting to do a little bit more, but it's still not unheard of to give someone a bus ticket to Hartford. And
Okay, because I want to make sure
that's what they're doing.
I wasn't understanding you, so I want to make sure that everyone else in the room actually understood what you're saying. So what you're saying is, when people are going through things in other towns, they come to Hartford, and Hartford has to bear the brunt of a lot of social issues that the state is dealing with.
Yes, and I personally agree that that is the role of an urban center. I just think there needs to be a little more balance.
Okay.
I'm not saying get rid of all these social service agencies. I'm not saying that there's, in my opinion, there's never going to be complete balance or parity. I just think it's too tilted to...
Gotcha. All right. So does everyone get that? When there's a lot of social issues going around the state, Hartford has to bear the weight of dealing with these issues. Thank you.
Many times we don't have accountability when it comes to the surrounding East Hartford, West Hartford, whatever. We don't have accountability to hold different leaders in that particular town accountability for what they need to be taken care of. Hartford takes on everything. I see it. I work at the library. I see all different cultures, all different people come from different places. Try to get food, try to get bus passes, try to get clothing, try to get everything they need. And I feel that the capital or whoever, the citizens or whoever who's in charge of Hartford need to do more accountability of getting with all different surrounding towns to make sure they're doing their part for everyone that comes from their surrounding cities.
Thank you, thank you. So I sort of piggybacking off of the visualization idea, right, is other cities and other towns need to make sure that they're taking care of the people who live in those spaces. Good, thank you, thank you. Anything else that is missing? Oh, hey, how you doing?
Unfortunately, I think that there's a real reluctance on the part of businesses to invest in Hartford, unless they see gentrification happening and it's an up-and-coming neighborhood and this and that. They don't want to be concerned with the people who are already here. They want to see, who's coming in and who's going to to be able to make them more popular and this and that, instead of investing in the community as it is right now. They want to not come in until they see that, you know, a lot of the poor people are gone.
Thank you, that's a great point, It goes back to the poverty issue, right? Yeah, they don't want to take care of us as who've been living here for, you know, since forever. All right, that, yeah, go on. I'm sorry. All right, just taking all our tax money was the additional. Anyone else, anything that could be missing from the list that we have? Yes?
So guys, my question is, when we talk about, let's go back to regionalization, I'm not sure we have a placekeeper for that. It would seem to me that it's food policy, but I'm just curious as to whether people think, the community think that's the right place for it. Because if there's going to be regionalization, I think it has to happen at the governmental level. I don't know how this Hartford community is going to get people outside of this Hartford community to do more. So is that where you were thinking, or is that where this group believes it belongs, is in the discussion of food policy?
And just a reminder, in those slides there are the big buckets that are highlighted, and then there's the points underneath it. So if we were going to talk about regionalization and other towns handling the responsibilities for their own citizens, then should we put that under food policy as the overlying theme? Yes? We'll figure it out. Who can just translate on spot? Thank you.
Yes, we have a translator.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Dani Uribe, soy colombiana. Estoy escuchando hace un momento lo que ustedes están hablando. Tengo una hija de 6 años y desde que quedé en embarazo soy consciente de que me debo cuidar y debo promover en ella una
¿Puede dar un
sana...
momentito?
Okay.
Empezamos otra vez. ¿Se llama Janet?
Me llamo Janet
My name is Janet.
soy colombiana.
I'm
Tengo
Colombian.
una hija de 6
I
años.
have a daughter that's 6 years old.
Y antes de quedar embarazada no me importaba cómo me
Before
alimentaba.
I became pregnant, I didn't really care about the food.
Simplemente me alimentaba mal y hacía ejercicio y
I would
como
just, eat healthy.
pecar y rezar quedaba empatada. Ahora que tengo una hija y que soy consciente de que debo promover en ella una buena
I know
alimentación,
that I need to promote
porque
better nutrition.
desde que llegué a este país me doy cuenta que el problema de obesidad es
As I
impresionante,
came to this country, the problem is
porque no tenemos unas buenas bases de
we don't have a
alimentación.
good base of good nutrition.
Más que hablar de pobreza, más que hablar de si hay o no hay los recursos, es empezar a promover en la gente la educación de cuidarse, de cuidar a
We
sus
need more
hijos.
education on taking care of ourselves and different things that we need to do to better ourselves. That's not there.
Promover desde que, o sea, desde la conciencia de nosotros, porque nada vale lo que ustedes dicen aquí si no tenemos conciencia de cuidar lo que comemos.
Promote our own consciousness of what it is that we eat.
Desde que llegué a este país,
As I
en
came
mi
to this
casa,
country, in my house,
se quedan aterrados porque nosotras dos comemos 3 veces al día.
we
Desayunamos,
3 times a
almorzamos y
day,
comemos.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Mi padre y su esposa dicen que nos vamos a engordar.
Their parents say that they're gonna get fat,
Pero no va a pasar porque lo que comemos es comida saludable.
but it's not gonna happen because what we eat is healthy food.
Mi hija desayuna
My
fruta,
daughter has
toma
fruits
agua,
for
come una
breakfast,
arepa de maíz
water.
que yo misma cocino y hago con queso.
Things that I
A
bake and
diferencia,
cook.
a diferencia que mi padre come un bagel lleno de mermelada,
Difference
con
with my parents that eat bagels and things like that, right?
jugos procesados.
Processed
Mi
juices.
hija no toma jugos procesados, en este país yo veo que
children
todo es procesado.
They don't have those processed juices, my children.
Entonces, en estas conferencias que ustedes dan, deberían arrancar por personas que estén en ese proceso de maternidad y
And
personas
this-
que tengan hijos pequeños.
And this program, we should promote more for especially and families that have smaller children.
A realizar una conciencia en cómo alimentarse.
Consciousness on how to have healthy food.
porque a veces más que tener un gran recurso para comprar,
to just have, enough, to get the food,
es saber qué comer. O
is to
sea,
know what to eat.
lo de las tiendas a nivel de barrios,
And different residents in Hartford, the stores.
donde
or
van a
what the
ver,
business say,
donde van a haber productos alimenticios
where they
que van a ser buenos para la salud,
where there could be healthy food that's going to be beneficial.
es concientizar a cada barrio dónde van a quedar ubicados y la accesibilidad de los productos.
Where is it going to be, and the accessibility to the products, to the healthy food.
Y este tipo de conferencias sería muy importante que la hicieran en cada barrio y que las personas supieran
This
de la
conference is
existencia de
great.
de
To try to get
estas
people to
conversaciones.
all the different residences and the importance to letting the community know about these conferences.
Gracias.
Cool, thank you, thank you. All right, everyone caught at least most of that? All right, okay. Yeah, it's important to, knowing what food is available and then making your own food and not eating a lot of processed food, right? That's what keeps us healthy. Cool. Thank you for that. Anything else that we maybe, oh yes, sorry.
I came in a little late, so I don't know if it was brought up, but I'm glad that we're having this conference, but we're talking about healthy food and having access to healthy food. How is that possible when we have grocery stores closing down left and right? You have bare shelves, so how are we supposed to have access to healthy food if we got grocery stores closing and there's bare shelves where we can't even get any goods from the grocery stores that are around? So what are we supposed to do then? And then farms are, going down, that gives healthy food. So it's hard to talk about and think about healthy food when all these issues are going on in the country, not just in Connecticut, not just in Hartford. So.
Thank you for that. So for that, I would say that would probably be under sustainability, right? In terms of making sure that the supermarkets that we do have, we're able to keep them. In the supermarket that we want to build over in the north end, we're able to have that created, but then also that could be sustained and maintained as well, right? So that way every neighborhood in Hartford has a good supermarket that they can get to with healthy food, and it's easy to get through, like you don't have to take city buses to get there, etc. And keeping the money in Hartford. But I do want to get right back to where should we put the regionalization piece, right? That's what you were getting at, Dave?
No, you already dealt with regionalization, and I think the comment we just heard, to me, belongs under food retail outlets.
Okay.
I think that's part of the discussion that should take place in that group, it seems. And I'm looking around, you all just need to nod your head if you agree. The categories are all in the PowerPoint that you had earlier. There were 9 of them, and we're trying to make sure that each of you know which of the categories are covering the interest that you have in this, and that's part of the reason we're going through this exercise. So that is where I think I would put it. Sagasti, that makes sense to you.
Okay, sounds good. Just making sure that it sounds good to everyone else here, because it's like, what we're doing is facilitating the process. We don't want to necessarily give orders on everything. So if that makes sense to you all, seeing some blank faces. Just making sure. Okay, we can always go back to it. All right. Yes, ma'am.
Hi.
Hello.
I don't particularly think regionalization belongs in this conversation because we're talking about a government change. We've been talking about food and grocery stores in this community for 40 years. I've been here 40 years. And it's the same conversation. We need a grocery store. Oh, but if we get a grocery store, we have to have a home ownership. No, build a grocery store. People will come. We need a grocery store. That should be the top of the list. That's what we're here about. And everything else is secondary. The other thing is more neighbors in like Frog Hollow, right? Should have a say in what goes on at the grocery on Broad Street, because it's all, they've already got it figured out, or think they have it figured out, and it's not necessarily helping the neighbors in the direct neighborhood. So I think more residents should be involved than just policymakers.
Okay, so you spoke specifically about Frog Hollow for, I'm imagining, the Broad Street grocery store, right? And you're saying that folks who actually live in Frog Hollow didn't have much of an input into that, what will be in that grocery store. And I'm wondering if you're also saying if we build the one over in the north end as well, people have a say over there too.
I would think
No
that
matter
people-
where
right.
Grocery store is being built and
It should be
sustained.
more community driven.
Good. And that doesn't, and that is not, that's not predicated upon people who own homes or people
Right,
living in.
right.
People who are living there now. So whoever's living there now needs to have a say into whatever grocery store is either being built or is already there.
Right.
Just making sure I got you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, yes, this one.
You?
Okay,
Just in case, I know I have hearing issues.
Well, I'm a part of the CADF,
Okay.
I'm a member of that. That's our main goal on the north end of Hartford. Is for community, the residents of Hartford, the residents of the north end to get involved, speak up on what they want to be done with the grocery store we're trying to get put in place. If we get it, please Lord, in place. But I get what she was saying about Frog Hollow. Me coming to these community conversations and hearing about them is actually the first time I heard about the grocery on Broad. I don't come over on this end of, because I don't drive. I take the bus everywhere I go, unless I'm getting a ride, you know, but me living in the north end of Hartford all my life, that's the main goal for the CADF is for the residents of the north end to speak on what they want to see done and what we need to have there. So if everybody get out, advocate for their communities, these community conversations will be more robust and more full of what the residents of these neighborhoods in the city of Hartford want. So that's all I want to say.
All right.
Maybe don't talk about it.
Be about it. Gotcha. Yes, okay, cool, thank you.
Just following up on what you say, yesterday I was at the Capitol in a food security event, and one thing that one of the representatives say, we need you to send emails to your representatives of what you want. She said that she doesn't receive too many about food. And I agree with what they've been saying because I'm part of the Food Policy Commission. I'm a commissioner there for many years. And the same problem is happening. The lack of supermarkets around Hartford, mostly in the north of Hartford. And it's a continuous problem that has lasted for too many years. And it's only in our hands in terms of, as a community, make our politicians really to work on that. And one way is sending emails, being here like you are here. And another part that is persistent in our community in Hartford is not only the lack of supermarkets selling healthy foods, but also transportation.
Yeah.
Transportation is a big issue, not only for Hartford inside, but how you connect with around Hartford, you know? So those things need to be addressed, and I will be very happy. One policy thing that happened today is starting working more together as a community from all the residents in really asking for that healthy supermarket in the north of Hartford or in other areas based on community where residents should, but also for transportation. No?
So I want to take a quick moment. So for the transportation piece, right, that's coming up. Did we have that on one of our boards?
Under food access conditions, the first category identified. I'm sorry, it's the second category identified. So we have more identified it, and the question is whether we have the right category, but that's where it's been identified in the way these voting spreadsheets indicate.
Yes, and I do want to remind folks to remember that all of these boards, like all of these things that we're talking about, so when we say like the larger themes, we'll be voting on these, like which group you would like to go in and work on, because, I'm sorry, what was your name? Sophia, as Ms. Sophia is just mentioning, it's important that we follow up on these things and stay involved, right? And emailing representatives is one of the ways that we can follow up and stay involved and connect to the organizations that are represented in the room today. So it's not just about today, it's about sustainability and continuing work. Yes.
Okay, I'd like to address Ms. Sonia.
Sophia.
Sophia, I'm sorry, I'm not good with names. I was here at the last meeting, and your agency, your commission spoke about the meetings and what you want to do in the community. I'm one of those people who go on site. I went on site, I've not seen any postings. And I went back a ways, and this was right after the meeting that we had here the last time. I'd like to know, when do you have your meetings? We need to know, because a lot of us will come. Because we need to talk. Secondly, the North End people, I lived there, I raised my children there. We are sick of hearing that we need to hold the politicians accountable. They're not going to be accountable. The only time that they are accountable is when it's election time. We as a community have gotten to the point where they say, okay, they're telling us this again, it's not going to happen. Why bother? We need to change that, because you can't make a politician do anything if your community's not doing anything. We also need, one last thing, I'm going to sit down. We have inspectors that's supposed to go around to these stores, the bodegas, etc., etc. I've been to too many stores where you go in and they're selling food that is expired, not by months, years. No one's addressing that issue. How can you get healthy food if the food is rotten when you first get it? I'm done.
Cool. Thank you for that. All right, so that was, I'm hearing two things. I have kids on the back. So I'm hearing two things from that, right? So one is not just holding the officials responsible, but how are we collectively going to support one another and hold one another up, right? And I think when Ms. Hunter, the junior, was up here, that was one of the things that was being discussed is, I think it's agriculture and food production, and like how can we have more spaces where we can grow and keep our own food, right? That's important as an important aspect as well. And then the other piece I'm hearing is a lot of places are selling food that that just isn't healthy and it's already expired, right? So cool, thank you. And who would have in the back? Okay.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm Kristen. I work very closely with the CADF. Denise Holter presented the policy proposal, the healthy overlay policy proposal that we worked on together earlier this morning. And I've been on the planning committee with this group. I'm sorry to insert myself, but I was really struck by the comments about the resident engagement with the store and not for the store abroad, and how to do a better job of resident engagement. As Sabre said from the CADF, that is front and foremost a priority to make sure that residents feel they've been a part of it. And then I was at the same meeting yesterday for the Policy Commission where the legislator said, I don't get emails and testimonies about food, which was surprising to hear. So I guess the question for the residents in the room, one, what other aspects or input do you want to provide about a store, particularly in North Hartford? And the other question is, beyond feeling like they're not going to listen, Are there other things that prevent you from sending those emails, testifying, just in thinking about ways to support the community to make that connection? Because there are some policymakers that are wanting to listen and they don't hear you. So from their perspective. So that's like an opportunity we can connect.
Yes, and thank you for your comment, because it's very important for the commission to hear what you're saying, and working together. I think both things, what just Kristen said, see what is preventing, maybe mistrust is a real thing, but that we should continue, my idea is continue persistent and also working together. And since you all registered, probably I would ask, if put you email, probably we can send information about the meetings that we have in the commission through that, if you're interested. I know, Martha, what do you think? Yeah, because we are really, through the years, we want you to be, give us your voice and participate in those meetings.
So just because I don't want to get too sidetracked, I think this is where we are going to break for lunch in a little while. So to connect during lunch, so that way you can share with, I forget the sister's name over here, Tasha? I can't read that good. My eyes are, yes. What was your name again, sis? Talia. Okay, cool. Yeah, my eyes aren't as good as they used to be. But yeah, so that way we can still stay in connection with one another. And again, there are several organizations represented in this room, so please make connections that way, because if we're talking about sustainability, and another thing with holding elected officials accountable is not just to, bless you, is not just to talk about these things come election time, but to be there consistently, right? Like, I know there's probably some other parents in this room. I have a teenager, and with him, it's when I'm in front of his face, he's doing his homework, he's doing what he needs. Once I let back a little bit, then he wants to go out and hang out and da-da-da-da. So just like that with elected officials, we have to be consistent, because if they keep seeing us, they keep hearing the same things over and over again. That's how it works. And us always staying in contact with each other. Consistent engagement is super important. Yes.
All right, my name is Carmen. So I was looking at the categories. I just want to make sure that I have kids. They go to the school. So most of the time they are at school. And sadly, they are not, the food that they are receiving at school are not healthy. They're eating for lunch, they are eating tenders, they are eating pizza, which I don't think is healthy. So, and I have to work. So it's hard for me to send them some hot food. And also, if I want to send them food cooked at home, they are not allowed to use the microwave. So I just want to make sure if those, what I'm talking about the school, is in one of these categories, because we as adults, we can take care of us, yes, but we need to take care of the kids. And also, when you don't eat good, sometimes you can't focus. And I think that's one of the main things that we should focus at school, because if they're getting healthy, or many parents have 2-3 kids to send to school, maybe they are not eating a good breakfast. Cereal and milk is the most that we give to our kids in the morning, but that's not healthy. So, and after I get home at 5, and by that time they should be eating lunch, they should be eating something, but they are at school. So that's my main. I think all of these are important, but for me as a mother, the school, what that school is providing for them is the most important thing. So I just want to make sure that that's very important.
And I think it was, I do think I saw it on one of the lists, but I just want to double check with the folks who have a more intimate relationship with the lists that we have come up with. School food is on there, right?
So we put school gardens like for that, you know, within the schools.
Okay, so I did write it down here too.
If I can interrupt for 1 second, I totally agree with what you're saying, because I have grandchildren, and my daughter makes sure that they eat breakfast before they leave, and they take their own fruits and their own healthy stuff, because they don't like the food that they get. They don't like the chicken tenders and the pizzas and things like that. So my daughter has to make sure that when they get home, she has dinner cooked for them. Luckily, she's a stay-at-home mom, you know, and she has a good provider. But not everyone is able to do that. So we definitely need to start within the schools. If we're gonna feed our children, we need to feed them something that's healthy.
Yes,
Yeah,
so my
actually,
point is at lunch, because I know that they have, they can use the garden and things like that, and that's just maybe once a month that they cook some soup or something, but I'm talking about every day. So they should receive good food, not just once a week they can eat, you know, pizza or whatever, but they need to, the brain is in the development and they need to be healthy. So that's one thing that I think we should, our mayor or the government, the state, we should let them know that that's very, very important.
Yes, thank you, Ma'am. But I added over here because we did have healthy food choices on the list, but I've also put like actually filling food too, right? Because what you're talking about too, I'm hearing is also hunger, right? And again, my oldest is in high school, and I know him and his friends, by the end of the day, they're still starving because that's not enough food for these young men to actually, maybe young women too, I don't know, I have 2 boys. But I know definitely for young men, it's not enough food to actually sustain them. Thank you for that. And I think there was one other in the back first, and then we'll come back to this now. Yeah? Okay, cool. I'm sorry, I didn't even see you.
Good morning, Angela from the Phillips Health Ministry. Just wanted to have you all take this opportunity to clarify, based on some of the earlier comments, the different commissions regarding food. I believe there is a city commission, and it sounds like there's a state commission. There's work being done on multiple levels. And when you talk about meetings and schedules and not wanting to miss them, I think it needs to be clarified. Ben is here. I don't know if there's a representative from the state. If you all could share that at this point, because there's a lack of clarity with that.
Thank you for bringing that up.
The state one is part of the Work Commission for Women and Families and stuff, right? No?
All right, so Angela's right, I'm Martha Page, by the way. There is a City Food Policy Commission, which you have several representatives of in this room, and that is focused on city issues, but recognizing the fact that some of what we need to do in the city is kind of like very much impacted by what's happening at the state and even at the national level. There is also a Connecticut Food Policy Council that is legislated to exist. It is under the kind of like the guidance of the State Department of Agriculture. It is also, they meet every 2 months, and it is possible to attend those meetings. They're public meetings, so anybody can come. They are all online, and they're all during the day, so maybe not that easy. And then, of course, we now have another entity which did the big event at the state yesterday, which is under the Commission for Women, Children, what?
Oh, yes, I know what you're talking about, yes.
Okay, and then that is there is a food and nutrition security advocate at the state level who has some legislative responsibility to look at these issues, get information about them, and promote solutions.
Okay, so one thing, because I do not want us to get sidetracked, I'm wondering, I'm throwing this out there for the organizers here, is with those ideas, with those organizations I wrote down, City Food Policy, CT Food Policy Council, and then the Commission on Women, Children, Seniors, and Equity, if we could like send that out to the email list for folks, so that way they're able to actually follow up that way, right?
So I'm going to put the CANF on the hot seat and interject ourselves into this conversation so we can get back to today's agenda and suggest that we convene a one-on-one citizens training on how to engage our various commissions at the local and state level, and we can come up with strategies and tools to do it at that time, since we've addressed this as a need.
Cool. Thank you, thank you. Oh, and I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say this, like, for those
holler those meetings with those different organizations, and even put the time of those meetings, public hearings or whatever they may
Yeah.
be. Because like me, I work during the day, and I thank God the county meetings I have 6 in the evening to
Yeah.
10 p.m. Evening from 6 to 6:30, from 6:30 to 8 is the meeting to engage you. We looking for engaging residents in our meetings. So, as far as those meetings with those head policy people, they need to change the time where parents, residents can actually commit themselves to going to one of those meetings and not having during the day when you're working and you can't attend nothing. Where it's only the providers or whatever to those meetings that's there talking, and there's not really no residents.
Because most folks are working during the day. I can dig it. Yep. And I think that's another piece of us staying engaged with one another is to be doing that. I don't know, I'm a representative or whatever, just throwing ideas out, but something like that. So now we are still informed and able to be present in some way, shape, or form during that. Then Ms. Talia, then I'll get back to you, Joy.
Okay, to the lady that was talking about the school lunches.
Yeah.
To the lady that was talking about the school lunches. We need to go to the Board of Education because they make the policy. Yes, the politicians got the money banks, but the Board of Education decides what kind of food they're gonna have, how much food they're gonna have, and what days the food they're gonna have. And until parents say, okay, my child don't need chicken, I can take it to McDonald's. My child needs some broccoli and some carrots. And until we do that, as people, older people, young people, people with grandkids and great-grandkids, that policy's not going to change. Because they look at us and say, oh, a week or so, we'll give it a month or so, they'll go away. Or 6 months, we'll revisit it. Or we've got to, what's that word? Analyze it. We sick of analyzing. You know, we need to set up a commission so that we can figure out how to work this and then analyze it. We need to make them stop that. And Hartford, when you get together, and I've seen it because I've been there, when Hartford gets together and says, we're not going to have this, people pay attention.
Consistently. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to make a point about the school lunches also. The local school board is only in control of things like the microwave use, what time meals are planned, things like that. The USDA is really in control of what's being fed to the kids, and they go by the, what's influenced by corporations and what things are going to be sent into the schools, and so they have very high starch requirements and high carbohydrate requirements and everything like that. So while you could go to the school board to change small things, like when kids have lunch and how they have access to the microwaves and how they can bring the food from home and this and that, that's one thing. But as far as the school lunches, if it's a USDA funded school district, if it's through the USDA, there are certain foods that are influenced by corporations, and those are the foods that are going to be in the schools no matter what.
Just one little bit. I don't need a mic. Okay.
I think you do.
Yeah, Justin. Thank you for that. And also, I do like the use of microphones because I know I have hearing issues sometimes, so some people think that they're talking louder than they actually do, so please, if you have something to say, use the mic.
Okay. I understand what you're saying about the USDA, but again, I state, USDA are people. They have ears. And again, as we as a community get together and send a committee down there, send a bus down there, they will pay attention and stop giving us starchy food.
Hey, I was just making the point of like who we would address.
Yeah.
We start with the
And that goes back to the consistent engagement, right? And always making sure that we are letting folks know, sending emails to representatives, etc., USDA, Board of Ed, whoever it is that is responsible. Because I'm not going to get up here and lie and say I know who it is. But like whoever is responsible, let's figure out who that is so that we can be in contact with them collectively.
Sagacity, if I could, it's Dave Dude over here. if this is an issue that is highly motivating a lot of people in this group, put your stars when we get ready to vote on it's already identified in food access conditions. It was food aid programs as number 4, improve quality, nutrition, freshness of food served in schools. If we have a broad consensus of people that want to do that, vote for that, and that's one of the action groups that's going to be moving. That's part of what we're trying to accomplish here, is decide what's most important to us, to the community. And that's why we want to keep emphasizing, unless we have these categories wrong, you ought to know which group you ought to be moving to shortly, and that's where I want to just keep coming back to.
All right, thank you for that, Dave. So, and with that being said, I do want to move into that portion, but I just want to make sure, before we get into the voting, are there any other last burning things that we think should be added to the list? When I say last, I'm having to kind of see your hands yet, so yes. But these are the last 2 before we go on.
Yes, I volunteer for the food share program, and I see there's a lot of expired food that need to be addressed as well too. They're giving all this processed food to all the residents of Hartford, and a lot of them are taking it because a lot of them there's food shortage in their house, and I don't know how much food stamps a lot of residents are getting, but this is important to also check out the places that are distributing the food for the food pantries as well too, because there's a lot of expired food, so that needs to be addressed as well too.
Cool. Thank you. And I think Joanne had the last comment.
No, this isn't anything to add to the list, but I just wanted to say that I was just informed that the meeting that happened on the state level yesterday had all been recorded and is available on YouTube. So if anybody missed it and wants to see it, it should be available publicly.
So I'll write that down, so that could be one more thing for the organizing folks to attend to. I did say she would be the last comment, so cool, thank you. All right. You want to do one more?
High school students from the north, Hartford High, and so, consistently they have told us that they started adding fruits and vegetables to the, because it was USDA added more fruits and vegetables, but the quality of that fruits and vegetables are so low that they don't want it. So that I think the quality, I mean, I just wanted to share with you some of the comments that our high school students have done. So the quality and the inspiration and everything, I think it seems to me something that is coming back.
Yeah, right. The quality of food. I'll take that. Thank you. The quality of food, whether it be in stores, we heard that poor quality food in stores that are expired. Quality of food in schools, and quality of food for like food shares and pantries and such. So that is a consistent theme, right? Okay. So with that being said, our next piece is going to be on voting. You can vote on any of these sticky charts that are up on the walls. Everyone's going to get 3 stickers, 3 small stickers, and they're coming around. Smiley face stickers is all right because we want to keep things positive. All right. So 3 smiley face stickers everyone's going to get, and you could take your stickers and put 1 sticker on like 3 different banners if you want, if you believe that these 3 different ideas are really important, or you could take all 3 and just put them under 1 banner. Does that make sense? So if you really believe in this one idea strongly, put all 3 over there, or you could put 2 on 1 banner and then the 3rd one on a different banner. Does that make sense? Yeah. All right, so we're going to do that for the next, I don't know, there's a lot of people in here, but we're going to try to get that done. Remember, all of the sticky notes are on the back. Everyone has their 3 stickers, and go on and get to the vote, and then after that, we're going to get to lunch.
Sagacity, if I could, folks, you have 9 of them around, and they're the same as they were in the program that Mary Holter had reviewed with you. So just find the 9. If there are questions about what category or what topic of interest, which category it's in, we'll be floating around and we can help you if we got it right. Maybe we didn't, but that was part of the reason we went through this discussion, to make sure that the issues you want to talk about and you want to see action taken on are the ones that are being voted.
Strategies to bring change to benefit ourselves, our families, and our communities. Right? So I applaud you for your work, and thank you, because there's more work to come.
All right, I want to echo some of what Denise was saying, particularly, you know, it's particularly important over the, considering what has happened on the national political front, most recently, that local action has always been critically important, but it may be the only thing we have right now is to do local action. And so the purpose of today, as a follow-on to what the first conversation we started in September, was to move to action from talk. And you already know, based on kind of like conversations this morning, that there is work underway, and you know we want to build on that. But where there isn't something happening today, we want to build something happening. There are a lot of issues up here. Really appreciate people taking their smiley faces seriously and voting well. And I want to preface the voting results by saying that the fact that these 9 major buckets of interest rose to the top is because they're all important. But as a practical matter, we are not going to break this group into 9 groups today to talk about things. So that's why the voting process say where is the most energy for today. But having said that, none of these issues are going to go away. So the things that didn't get to be a top vote getter in this group on this day, we are going to make sure that there is a container for them, and how that plays out is going to really depend on what it is. But just as an example, agriculture and food production got votes, but it's not a top vote getter today. But I can tell you that from years on the commission, growing food in the city is a critically important issue, and so it isn't like that there isn't any energy around that. But for our purposes today, what we are going to try to do is to get folks to self-select into 3 groups based on the top 3 vote-getting areas, and then we will just get a conversation started about how we move from talk to action. Okay, so I don't really have a drum roll, so we'll have to pretend. The top vote getter was food retail outlets, and based on where a lot of those dots appeared on that sheet, there seems to be a lot of energy around a North End grocery store, but it is not the only thing. You know, we know that we need to pay attention to our overall, where do people get food in the city, and a grocery store isn't going to be the only solution to that. And we know that it's a multifaceted thing. The second thing was food education, and there's a lot of things that came up under that. I'm not sure if people, when they were voting, were selecting, they were consciously putting their dots next to the thing under the topic that they were most interested in, but based on where a lot of the dots are, it looks as if, like, you know, that there is mythology around food stamps and pantries, and that, like, eligibility, that those types of things, like, might be interesting to talk about, as would the education about food and cooking and all sorts of things could fall under that topic. So we'll leave it to the group, whoever selects to be in that group, to kind of like unpack that a little bit. And then the third thing, near and dear to my heart, is food policy. I've been involved in food policy work for, a really, really long time now. I know that it sometimes can feel dry, but it's also the thing that has the opportunity for the most long-lasting change. If you can get good policy, and at the same token, if you can get bad policy, it can have lasting effects within the community. So there'll be a group that talks about food policy. So any questions about that, about any of the voting or those top three? Oh, and just as a by the way, there was a lot of energy in the conversation this morning about school food, and we think that that has like big policy implications, and so we added school food as an item under food policy because it just there was a lot of energy around that. We want to honor that. You know, one of the things that I've always noted about meetings and conversations like this is that you know that it's successful when it's tough to get people to quit talking. And I mean that in the best possible way. So we just have a couple of more things to mention before we let you go on with the rest of your Saturday. One of them is, and first and foremost, and first, last, and in between, is thank you for being here and for spending a big chunk of your Saturday with us. I was in the policy conversation, but based on my brief interactions with the other groups, it looked like the conversation was lively and people were engaged. And for that, I find that incredibly gratifying that there's this much interest in things. So thank you so much for your time and effort today. The other thing is to just let you know a little bit about next steps. We do have contact information for the groups that were formed. Can commit to you that we will be in touch with you about kind of like what might be on the docket, whether it is CADF meetings or commission meetings or things having to do with food education and all of that. So there will be more to come. And I said it before we broke into groups, is that there were a lot of issues that were identified on these sheets that we did not get a chance to talk about more in depth today, but they haven't gone away either, and they will not go away. So we will make sure that there is a mechanism to get some traction on things or to let people know what's going on in those spaces.